The sun rose lazily over the quiet fields of Hanam, washing the landscape in a warm golden glow that shimmered across the rice paddies. Morning in the rural district was always slow and peaceful, the kind of calm that felt stitched into the land itself. Roosters crowed from distant yards, water splashed softly as farmers prepared for the day, and the gentle hum of motorbikes rolling down dirt paths became part of the familiar rhythm of life. For Min, mornings were a comfort he had grown used to, a steady start before the demands of work took over. He was a well-liked tradesman in the area, dependable, patient, and someone everyone felt comfortable asking for help. He wasn't loud or flashy, instead, he carried a quiet confidence, the sort that came from years of hard work and simple living. People respected him, even if he rarely sought attention. At home, his wife Lan was already bustling around the kitchen, her movements organized and practiced. She had always been meticulous, known for keeping their home spotless and meals warm by the time Min stepped in. But lately, there was something different about her, something Min couldn't quite put his finger on. She didn't smile as often. Her mind seemed somewhere else, drifting away even when she tried to hide it. Min had noticed these changes, but told himself not to overthink them. Life could be stressful, he reasoned. People had quiet phases. Sometimes it was nothing, still, something felt off. Also living with them was Tuan, a young farmhand Min had taken in about a year earlier. Tuan's family had struggled after a bad harvest, and Min, being the kind-hearted man he was, offered him a place to stay and work until things improved. Tuan was quick on his feet, full of energy, and eager to prove himself. He often helped Lan with chores around the house when Min was out working. At first, Min had appreciated Tuan's initiative. The boy was hard-working, polite, and grateful. But over time, Min began noticing how often Tuan and Lan ended up side by side, carrying baskets from the market, repairing things around the house, even chatting in the backyard for longer than seemed necessary. Lan laughed more around Tuan than she had around Min in months. Min tried brushing it off. They are just comfortable, he told himself. Lan's always been kind. I'm overthinking it, but the villagers weren't shy about their observations. Rumors floated through the town like drifting smoke. I saw Lan on Tuan's motorbike yesterday, one neighbor whispered. They spend an awful lot of time together. Another commented with raised brows. Min is too trusting for his own good. Min wasn't the type to listen to gossip, but whispers became impossible to ignore when they kept circling back to him. Each time he walked through town, he sensed people watching, waiting to see whether he'd finally catch on to what they already suspected. One warm afternoon, Min returned home earlier than usual after finishing a small repair job ahead of schedule. As he approached the house, he heard muffled voices drifting from the back, two voices, speaking quickly, almost frantically. He recognized Lan's soft tone and Tuan's deeper one. Their words blurred together, but the urgency in their voices made him pause. When he stepped through the doorway, both fell silent. Lan stood near the laundry basket, pretending to fold clothes she had clearly abandoned moments earlier. Tuan wiped his forehead, his hands shaking slightly as though he had been caught doing something he shouldn't. The air suddenly felt heavier, thicker. Min pretended not to notice. He placed his tools on the table and greeted them as usual, though his voice carried a hint of unease he couldn't hide. Lan answered lightly, too lightly, as if a tone alone could erase the tension hanging between them. That night, Min lay awake long after Lan had fallen asleep beside him. He stared at the ceiling, replaying the sounds he'd heard, the panic in their voices, the way they had both jolted when he entered. His mind fought with itself, half wanting to dig deeper, half wanting to trust the woman he had shared years of his life with. Trust one. He chose silence. The following days brought more uneasiness. Min began noticing small details he had overlooked before. The way Lan quickly put down her phone whenever he walked into the room, how Tuan avoided eye contact and spoke only when necessary, how conversations stopped abruptly when Min came home earlier than expected, but still, he kept everything bottled up. Confrontation didn't come naturally to him. One evening, as Min prepared for bed, his elderly neighbor, old B.A., stopped by. He rarely visited unannounced, so Min immediately sensed something serious behind his expression. "Min," he said quietly, "I don't like meddling in other people's homes, but keep an eye on things, lad. Just for your own good." Min forced a smile. "People talk too much, Uncle B.A." The old man sighed. "Sometimes they talk because they see what you don't want to see." The words struck deeper than Min expected. That night, Min felt a shift within himself. A quiet resolve replaced his usual calmness. He still didn't want to accuse anyone unfairly, but he could no longer pretend everything was fine. He needed answers, real ones. The turning point arrived a few nights later. Lan was in the shower, humming faintly. Her phone buzzed on the table. Min didn't intend to snoop, but when the screen lit up, he saw a message preview that made his heart stop. "We have to be careful. Min almost found out yesterday." The message was from Tuan. The hairs on Min's arms rose. His fingers trembled as he unlocked the phone. Lan's passcode, a date he knew by heart. Inside the conversation, most messages had been deleted, but a few fragments remained. "Wait until he's away, you promised you'd choose us, Min won't suspect anything." Min felt as though the ground had been ripped from under him. Every suspicion, every ignored whisper, every uneasy moment now sharpened into painful clarity. He wasn't imagining things. He wasn't paranoid. Something was happening behind his back, something deeper than village gossip or harmless companionship. Lan stepped out of the bathroom moments later, wrapped in a towel, unaware that her entire secret world had just been exposed. Min stood frozen, the phone still in his hand, his heart pounding loudly enough to drown out the sound of running water. The phone felt heavier in Min's hand than any tool he had ever carried. His fingers curled around it tightly, his knuckles pale, his breath stuck somewhere between his chest and throat. Lan stepped into the room, drying her hair with a towel, humming softly in the way she always did when she thought no one was watching. Her eyes lifted, and immediately widened the moment she saw the phone in Min's grip. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved, then Lan's face drained of color. The towel slipped from her fingers and fell silently to the floor. "Min. I can explain," she whispered, but her voice trembled so violently the words barely held together. Min didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He simply stood there, still as stone, his eyes fixed on her with a kind of hurt that pierced deeper than anger ever could. "Explain what, Lan?" he asked quietly. "The messages you forgot to delete? Or the ones you already did?" Lan took a shaky step forward, but Min lifted a hand, not to strike, but to stop her. "Please don't," he said softly. "Not yet." He walked past her, placing the phone gently on the table, as if it was something fragile. In truth, it wasn't the phone that was fragile, it was everything else. The silence that stretched between them felt suffocating. Finally, Lan spoke. "It's not what you think." Min gave a hollow, humorless laugh. "Then you'd better start talking, because what I think right now isn't good." Her lips parted, her eyes flicked away, and her hands trembled as she tried to gather words that refused to come. She stuttered through half-finished explanations, excuses that contradicted the very messages Min had seen. With each attempt, Min's heart sank another level. "You and Tuan were planning something," Min said. "I need the truth, Lan. All of it." Lan's silence became the answer. The next morning, Min rose before dawn. He didn't wake Lan, though he noticed she hadn't slept much either. Her eyes were swollen, her expression hollow. Instead of confronting her further, Min stepped outside, letting the cool morning air steady his thoughts. He needed clarity, not emotional guesses, not half-truths. Facts, and he knew exactly where to start. Min walked into the village, towards the marketplace where many of the locals gathered early for work. He approached Mrs. Hung, the vendor known for hearing more than she ever let on. When Min greeted her, she paused, studying his face with concern. "You're not looking too good, lad," she said softly. "Something wrong at home?" Min hesitated, then decided honesty was his only path. Did you hear something about Lan and Tuan? The woman's expression shifted, reluctance mixed with sympathy. She sighed deeply. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. But yes. I heard things. What kind of things? Min pressed. Mrs. Hung lowered her voice. Last week, I overheard them at my stall. They thought I wasn't listening. They talked about leaving together, talked about making sure you wouldn't stand in the way. They even discussed how you're too gentle to realize what's happening. The words hit Min like sandpaper to the chest. They were laughing, Min. Laughing about how easy it'd be. She shook her head slowly. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning a future without you. Min swallowed hard. His throat felt raw. The betrayal he had feared was no longer suspicion, it was truth. Returning home, Min found Tuan in the backyard, loading supplies onto his motorbike. The young man froze when he saw Min staring at him with unreadable eyes. Min. I was just going to, Tuan stuttered, searching for an excuse. We need to talk, Min said calmly. Tuan's eyes darted around, like a cornered animal looking for escape. About what? You know exactly what, Min replied. The steadiness in Min's tone unsettled Tuan more than shouting would have. He tried smiling, tried pretending nothing unusual was happening, but Min's gaze didn't waver. You were planning something with my wife. Tuan's face hardened. She told you. You didn't give her much choice, Min said. I saw the messages. Tuan's mask cracked. Fear slipped through. Look, Min, it wasn't serious. We were just, don't lie, Min cut in, voice sharp for the first time. You planned to leave together. You tried convincing her she deserved better than me. You tried to take what I built. Tuan's facade completely collapsed. He stumbled over his words, trying to salvage himself. It wasn't my idea. She wanted, Min raised a hand. Stop. And for once, Tuan obeyed. I'm not here to fight you, Min said, surprising even himself. I just want the truth. But Tuan had no truth to offer, only shifting blame, excuses, and cowardice. Min left him there, trembling and broken by his own guilt. He had one more conversation to face. Inside the house, Lan sat on the edge of their bed, shoulders hunched, her fingers knotting the bedsheet, as if it were the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. When Min entered, she lifted her eyes, red and swollen. Min, she whispered, I'm so sorry. The apology felt hollow, not because she didn't mean it, but because it arrived too late, after too many lies. Why? Min asked, his voice barely audible. Why him? Why the secrets? Why the plan? Lan's tears spilled. I felt alone. You were always working, always tired. Tuan made me feel noticed again. And then things got out of control. I didn't know how to stop. Min listened without interrupting. He wanted anger to rise, wanted to shout, to ask how she could betray everything they had built. But all he felt was exhaustion, a deep, soul-draining ache. Did you plan to leave me? He asked. Lan looked down. Yes, she whispered. But I wasn't sure anymore. I was confused. Min nodded slowly, the confirmation landing like the final blow. He stood up, his decision suddenly clear. I'm not going to beg you to stay, he said. I'm not going to yell or punish you. You made your choice a long time ago. Now I'm making mine. Lan's breath caught. What do you mean? Min's voice remained steady, too steady. If you want to be with Tuan, then go. If you want to stay here, it won't be as my wife. Not after this. Lan broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. I don't want him anymore. I don't know what I want. Please, Min, don't make me leave. But Min had already stepped back, a distance forming between them that could never be bridged again. I'm choosing myself this time, he said quietly. He walked out of the room, out of the house, out into the open air where the morning light stretched across the fields. Behind him, Lan's cries echoed faintly, but Min didn't stop. He didn't look back. For the first time in a long while, he breathed freely, not because he wasn't hurting, but because the lie was finally over.